students, this is Miss Medina, and I am going to talk to you about solving literal equations. And a literal equation is simply an equation that has two or more variables. It's kind of like a formula, like a equals pi r squared. And what we're going to do is we're going to solve for a different variable. So right now we have f equals ma, and so this is equals f. What we want to make it is we want to make it m equal, so we want to solve for m. And when you look at the formula right here, let me see if I can move the camera a little bit. It's m times a. So to isolate m, you're going to have to divide both sides by a. Like the a's cancel, and you're left with f over a equals m, or m equals f over a. In this one, we want to solve for a, so we have that f equals m times a. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We do division, so we're going to divide both sides by the m. M's cancel on this side of the equal sign, and you have that f over m equals a. Or you can swap the places, right, left and right, and you can say that a equals f over m. In this one, we want to solve for b. So you have that a equals 1/2 the base times the height. The first thing I would do is I would get rid of the denominator. So I would multiply both sides by 2. Right, this cancels this one right here. So you have that 2a equals bh. And then we want to solve for b, so we're going to get rid of the h. So we're going to divide both sides by h. And so we have that b equals 2a over h. So b equals 2a over h. We're going to solve for h. So we have that the area equals 1/2 the base times the height. We're going to get rid of the denominator first. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. This 2 cancels with this 2. So we have 2a equals the base times the height. And now we're looking for h. Right? So we want to keep h and we want to get rid of b. So you divide both sides by b. That cancels here. So you have that h equals 2a over b, or that h equals 2a over b. Alright, in this one we have that the force equals nv squared over r, and we want to solve for r. When you see where r is in the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by r. Right? It cancels here. So you have that rf equals mv squared. And you're looking for r, so you want to leave r by itself. That means you got to get rid of the f. So you divide it out, and you have that r equals mv squared over f. Alright, same equation, but this time we're looking for v. So you see where v is over here. We have to isolate v. So the first thing you got to do is get rid of this denominator. This cancels right here on the right hand side, and you have rf equals mv squared. We want v, so we have to get rid of the m. Right? These m's cancel. You have rf over m equals v squared. Well, guess what? This is v squared. How do you get rid of v squared? You take the square root. So plus or minus square root rf over m. Every time you take the square root, you get a positive and a negative, right? Equals v. Or you can write it as this: v equals plus or minus the square root of rf over m. Solving for a, and I'm sorry, I have like a little cold, so if I cough, I apologize. We want to solve for a right here, and we have b over a plus 1 over b equals 0. You see how a is in the denominator? It's kind of hard for solve for something when it's in the denominator. So what you need to do is you need to get common denominator here. So common denominator would be, we need to multiply this one by b, and we need to multiply this one by a. So now you have b times b, so that's b squared over ab plus a over ab equals 0. Now that you have a common denominator, you can combine the numerators, right? So you're going to get b squared. Oh, I ran out of room. Hold on a second. Here we go. So you're going to get b squared plus a over ab equals 0. Okay. And we're going to multiply both sides by a, b, right? Because we're trying to get rid of the denominator. And so we have b squared plus a equals, well, anything times 0 is going to be 0. And we were solving for a. And this is the only term with a, so we're going to subtract b squared. So then a equals negative b squared. Alright. For the b part. Once again, in order for us to do this, we're going to need a common denominator, right? Because it's a fraction plus a fraction. So you can multiply this one top and bottom by b, and this one top and bottom by a. Alright, so now you have b squared over ab plus a over ab equals 0. And now we're going to combine the fractions over a common denominator. So you have b squared plus a equals 0. We're solving for b. So we got to get rid of our denominator. We'll multiply both sides by AB. Okay. That cancels right here. And anything times 0 is going to be 0. So you've got the numerator left over. So you've got b squared plus a equals 0. And we're looking for b this time. So we're going to subtract the a. Right? So then b squared equals negative a. And so you can take the square root of both sides, and you get b equals plus or minus the square root of negative a. And I guess a has to be less than 0, because otherwise this inside the radical, it would be a negative number. But this is what it turns out to be. Okay? Oops, sorry. There you go. Alright, let me knock this out in 2 more minutes. Alright, let's solve for h. You have 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h equals 0. You notice that the only place that you have h is over here. So you want to get rid of this term. So you have 2 pi r h equals negative 2 pi r squared. Now you want to keep h. That means you got to get rid of 2 pi r. Alright, this all cancels here, and you got h equals negative. The 2's cancel, the pi's cancel, and one of the r's cancel. So h equals negative r. Now in this case, you want to solve for r. You have r here, but you also have r over here. Now that you have r in both terms, what you need to do is they're all on the same side. So we want to factor out the r. And I guess we can factor out a 2, a pi, and an r, right? Because the GCF is 2 pi r. And so you divide each of them by 2 pi r. Right, so this cancels, and you're left with r plus h equals 0. And so you say 2 pi r equals 0. Right, dividing by 2 pi, r equals 0, because 0 divided by anything is still 0, right? And then from here you can say r plus h equals 0. So minus h, r equals negative h. Alright, so you're going to have fun with radical equations, literal equations, and just go for it. See if you can isolate the variable. See, here you have common denominators. Here you have proportions, so please make sure that you cross multiply there. Once again, you got to cross multiply. Get rid of the 2 first. Get rid of the 2.5 first. Okay. Over here, get rid of the 5 over 9, so multiply both sides by 9 over 5, the reciprocal of this one. Alright, have fun with this worksheet and solving literal equations. 10 minutes exactly.